live again, and it seems the camera's screwing up. Yeah, I don't know if my webcam and that is having problems. All right, day 49, and we're going to talk about the war in Europe, probably the way I should have phrased it. And actually, there are a lot of bizarre connections from our yesterday's chat where we talked about the uh, what was it? The assassination. I'm sorry, I was looking at adjusting the microphone. Uh, the assassination attempt and the war in Europe. How this individual has some ties to this. Okay, but first off, I want to address a few things. I've kind of noticed that the quality of the playback on the live broadcast is a little bit off. Okay, I went with I did a test yesterday with StreamYard, and I mean the sound was terrible. Okay, somehow the setup wasn't picking up right, or has to be adjusted or something. StreamYard has changed all their software and everything. It's all different, and that's the free stuff. The problem with it is I like it, but to get it to work on any platform other than YouTube, Facebook, I pay a hefty sum of money monthly to use their software. I've tried the free ones and whatever, but two things we come up with. Number one, whenever I do this, I'm answering the comments. So when you play back the live, supposedly on the right hand side, they're supposed to be where the comments and people type in their comments. Well, I found, see, if I go on and look at a live broadcast as the creator, from the creator, logged in as the creator, I don't see that at all. So I went on YouTube as a user, looked up my channel and looked up my live broadcast, and would see, for some odd reason, okay, because I remember there was somebody that missed this early morning chat, wanted to see the comments and couldn't see it. And I myself could not see the comments on that side. It was either advertisements or listings to other videos. It took almost 24 hours. When I went on this morning, I would go and then, speed it up to where there were some comments. Then I could see the comments. So it appears that the video itself of these live chats will be up, okay, first, the video section. The comment section, okay, will come up like after 24 hours, 48 hours. Because I went to the Sunday chat, and when I look at it, I can see the comments. But you can't see it for like the first 24 hours. I think that's what the Gun Geek, when I was testing the other thing, the Gun Geek was telling me you have to wait a while and then it'll come up. He goes, I don't understand the delay. He kind of knows more about the technical end of all that stuff than I do. So yeah, there is a weird thing. And I noticed also, not because of my allergies, the audio is really bad. Now I'm using the YouTube studio. It's not that terrible, but when I went on StreamYard, I played back that test and it was atrocious. So I don't know if there's something I have to address in there, or maybe I should just get a set of headphones and a mic or a microphone of some sort and use that other than what's packaged with the webcam. Now the webcam was good. It was one of the better ones. Okay, and I got it set up because I had to do training online back during the health issue and everything. And a lot of things are done online where you need a good mic and camera. So I may look into that. I have to talk to my wife. She's the one that had the headset with the microphone because she was always on. That year, she was working from home for over a year. So all the conferences and talking to her superiors and everything, it was all done. And she had a headset and a mic. So I have to ask her about that. I think she sent it back, but there was a flash there. See, so there's something interrupting something here. So anyway, I'm working on it, guys. I'm going to come up with a solution. I'm going to keep doing the live. I'll get a mic or something to make it easier for everybody to understand. And the comments, as far as I know, if you wait a day or two, you should be able to take this live video and see the comments in the right-hand side. Okay, so onwards and upwards. 49 days, I believe. Yeah, 49 till the election. And it's getting weirder every day. Okay, so yesterday we talked about the attempted assassination, the second attempted assassination on Donald Trump. Appears this individual who they don't really know an awful lot about said he's from Hawaii, is all they know. Hasn't showed any income or anything for years. Only gets $1,000 or something, I guess, from disability. I can't get it, but assassins and people like that can. Okay, so he has a very small amount of money coming in, but does all this stuff. So from Hawaii. Then, like I said, the local guy on the local TV station here in Greensboro said that, he lived here and committed crimes throughout the area or something. So that was all I heard from him. Like the first day there, the shock and awe, news hawk, and nothing else. So who knows? Don't know. Maybe he did hang out. Who the hell knows? So now they're looking into this guy. And the strange connection, what ties him into today's video, is they said that he has gone to the Ukraine. Okay, he actually went there. He volunteered for the Foreign Brigade and they turned him down because of his lack of military experience. So then he would try to recruit Americans and take them to the Ukraine. And they said he supposedly visited there and would spend some time there, which they haven't verified of as yet. And then something about when he couldn't get that many Americans to volunteer for the Ukraine, he went somewhere and tried to get some Al Qaeda fighters who are now unemployed to join and come and fight the Russians in the Ukraine. Okay, using the old, y'all hate Russians, come on up to the Ukraine and do it. So very strange. It's a very strange detail. And the fact he was going to shoot him with an AK-47 and it was defaced. Okay, number one, you take serial numbers off a gun and get caught. It ain't good. And the fact that he was a convicted felon. Okay, so he must have been caught for something somewhere. So he has two big things against him. Number one, possession of a firearm is a convicted felon, pretty serious offense. Number two, the one with serial numbers removed. That's a very, very serious offense. Okay. So they got him to where I believe he can't get bail. Okay, so he's locked up, he ain't getting loose. All right, but the weird thing is when you see all the reports, he's like calm, not worried about a damn thing. So I don't know. But it's pretty odd that it's tied into this Ukraine stuff. Now, on to our main subject. Okay. It appears in the whole thing with the Ukraine, okay. This all started in 2014. Okay, this is nothing new. All right. And what people don't understand about the Ukraine is after the fall of communism, the government's been divided. Okay, there's a lot of corruption there. They really don't have a government that kind of functions. You got two different factions running it, and at one time there were actually three or four different political parties going to see who was going to be the president or prime minister or whatever the hell they elect them, the grand poobah over there. And it all boils down to one thing. There's a group of politicians that are extremely loyal to Russia, Putin, and that the old communists. Okay? There's a group that wish to break away, lean towards the United States and that ideology and join the European Union and all that other stuff. And then there's another couple factions that fall somewhere in between that don't have the power behind them. There was actually a woman running at one point in time. And when she was down in the area where the coal miners were and that, she got up on a podium and mysteriously a hand grenade went off. And it hurt her, but now she's a cabinet member. Okay, so you had this shift. Well, what happens is if you understand what the Russians do, what Putin does, whenever one of the satellite countries, which the Ukraine is too close, and there's a reason the Ukraine wasn't taken into the European Union, and that uh, the reason is, they didn't qualify or something, but there's a reason why. So they weren't taken into the European Union. They weren't taken into NATO. Okay. And there's a reason why this didn't happen. So if you understand the Ukraine, how it works is most of the country is agricultural. Okay. And if you look at the areas where the fighting is, the Donbass region and down that strip of the river that runs down or goes down along that edge to the Crimea. There isn't really a river there. So that's the problem. All the mining, all the industry, all the things that produce the raw materials and that very valuable thing is there. Also, Russia needs a path to go down to the Black Sea. Now, the Crimea, okay, when I went there, basically the Crimea is a vacation area. There's vineyards and stuff down there, and there's Sevastopol, which is the big port, but that's really not a port. It's more like a historic district, but it's there. And then you have Odessa. Odessa is the main port where all commercial goods more or less come in and go out of the Ukraine. It's a very busy port, and it's all you see is people going there and picking up goods. Okay, so these are two key strategic things. Then the Black Sea Fleet was somewhere up one of the rivers. It wasn't right there, like next to Odessa, but it was close by. And even at that time in the early 90s when I was there, you couldn't get within 100 yards of the damn place. They drove by and I seen ships docked on piers, but we just went by it at a distance and they said there's the black home of the Black Sea Fleet. Okay, so this is strategic. It's a strategic military thing and it's a strategic natural resource and manufacturing area. Now, if anyone understands what Putin does, and historically he has done this before, they had one of the satellite countries, or one of the provinces that after the Soviet Union collapsed, they let it become its own country, autonomous country. I don't know if it was Uzbekistan or it was, one of them. Well, this guy got a bug up his ass, and he more or less invited the United States to come over there and be a satellite. I mean, he had his Capitol building with their flag and every other flag, an American flag, and he was ready to do this. And there were some oil fields in an area of production that was developed and something else there in that country. So when he was going to do this, he was inviting someone, and it's going back well over 10 years ago. He was going to invite the US there and like make treaties and stuff with them and basically be a satellite of the US. Well, Putin ain't going to stand for that. So instead of going in there and flattening the country and all this other stuff, he just come across the border and he took control with his army of all the strategic, valuable things that were in there, which wasn't much. So it wasn't that big of a deal. And he took over these two key areas, oil fields and something else. He said, align yourself with whoever the hell you want. I got this. Okay. And that's what he's done in the past. So this, where they say he's going to take all of the Ukraine, he's not. He's not going to do a Cold War like in the Cold War, roll over to Ukraine, Poland, and march into Germany. He's not. He's not going to do that. I was told years ago, back in 2014, he wants access to the Black Sea. And the reason he's taking that one strip of the Ukraine is not only because of the industrial and resources, it gives him a free passage to go down to the ports. Okay, that's all he wants. What you see, that little side of the Ukraine, that's all he wants because that's what he invaded back in 2014, and that's why they're just sitting there. Okay, until certain forces are instigating it. All right. He doesn't want the whole country. He doesn't want to attack Poland. He don't want any of this other crap. He just wants to have his free passage to the seaports and not lose it. Okay. Because obviously he's not going to be able to get a government in there, and he has since the fall of communism, and they've been divided and fighting, and that he's never politically gained control. Okay. And he kind of gave up on it, so he just does what he does. All right. So that's how this all started. People don't know this. Now, we're, I guess, the deep state, you want to call it, gets in there and they drag in the US politically in that, is they were doing things in there, supposedly these biolabs. Okay. Oh, and another thing, there are these different factions, and one of them was a big deal about the neo Nazis. And they were the ones that were held out in that iron mine or something. They were underground forever, and it took them forever to get them up out of there. That was true, okay? And if you watched what happened on the Russian TV, Channel 2 or Channel 4, I forget. Before you used to be able to get that on there. And I watched when they brought them out. And what the Russians did, they brought these people out. And there were these half starved individuals in that uniforms that were supposedly regular Ukrainian armed forces. And they were had to take them to hospitals because they were drinking water contaminated with diesel fuel or something. It's a whole thing. What they did, okay, to prove a point, and you didn't have to speak English, is all certain groups of these guys. Now, when they went way down deep into the mine, there was a group of people that had all kinds of food, fresh water, all this other stuff, and they were coming out with, their belongings, food and that. And they take these individuals and they took them to an area and they would strip them down to their damn underwear. And then they'd get a camera and these guys would walk by and all of them swastikas. One of them had an intricate tattoo of Hitler on his shoulder or chest or something. All these Nazi symbolisms and that are tattooed on these people. It ain't a patch on a jacket or something. These people, like the Aryan Brotherhood, had shit tattooed all over them. Okay. And what I think we don't understand is certain regions and certain politicians have these groups of neo Nazis, whatever the hell. They're their private police enforcers. And it shows that this one area, uh, because I guess gambling's legal there. So they got some kind of gambling machines or something, and all they did was go into this slot parlor or whatever, sweepstakes, like we call them in this state, before they started tearing all the machines up. And they just go in there, smashing machines, intimidate the customers, and run them out and run the business down because they're not paying protection. So it is a form of organized crime. And then again, wandering around anywhere with swastikas tattooed all over you, pictures of Hitler and stuff, so you believe this. So what it is these politicians have these microcosm group of thugs, which I guess there is a neo-Nazi movement in Europe. Okay, fascist, the fascism. They want that type of government back. Okay, so that was true. Okay, but another thing, when you look at this whole war, okay, I just explained to you what his intents and purpose. He don't want to escalate it. So now it became this political thing. We've sent billions and billions of dollars to this country in terms of money, just and weapon systems, rockets, guns, small arms. It's a free for all. There's all kinds of stuff pouring in this country. We're giving them tanks. We're giving them airplanes. Okay, we're giving them all this stuff. But here's the thing: these missile batteries that we have, okay, they don't function like you just can't park one in my yard. Okay, they have to be connected to satellites. They have to be connected to intel. They have to be connected to stuff in outer space, which the Ukrainian military doesn't have that. So obviously, the deep state, I ain't going to get into who's connected, but we all know military intelligence agencies are in there giving them the intel and helping them use this stuff. And I guess it's developed to where the Russians are getting pissed. And before the election, we got 49 days. Okay. They're starting to increase this. Now, as the rumor goes, and this is why I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff, somebody high up in the Ukrainian military, okay, sold intelligence and where all these foreign entities are training or are encamped, and one was in Poltava. Okay, my wife told me that building was a military academy. She remembers it. She remembers where the building is. And she said what was going on in the military academy is there were all these foreign, uh, they sheep dip them, is what they do. Now, this is something the United States has done for years. We did it back in World War II with China, the Flying Tigers. Those were all Army Air Corps officers. And Chenault, okay, was a high ranking officer. We discharged those men, so they were not officially in the U.S. military when they volunteered to go fly for China and became the Flying Tigers, the famous military unit. But as soon as we were in the war, okay, these men were taken back and absorbed because they had been fighting an air war with the Japanese for a couple of years and had the experience in that. And our government said, you're coming back. You're going to tell us what realistically it's like fighting these people, what the capability, the aircraft, and all that other shit is. So this is the same story. We've done this forever. So they took a bunch of military people from all these different countries. There's people from Poland, France, the United States, Britain. Okay, they were in there training people. We give them F-15s. Okay, you got to train them. It's kind of like when they had M1 Abrams on display in Moscow. You can give somebody the top military equipment that there is, but unless they're proficient and operating it. Okay, it's kind of useless, and they end up being on display in Moscow. All of them. They had Leopard tanks, everything. Okay, so what was going on is their training. Well, this supposedly this person that sold the intelligence gave the Russians, okay, the exact location of where these training things were, and this missile barrage, okay, hit that. They said they killed 700 people. All right, so someone said if the war does escalate, what the Russians appear to be doing now is they're hitting these spots where these people ain't supposed to be. So if you complain about it, you have to say, well, the Russians launched this missile and oh, it killed all these people and blah blah blah, and this is bad. But what it is they're hitting all these secret bases and killing these people that kind of are not supposed to be there. Okay, and now Zelensky's pushing for us to shoot a missile deep into Russia to retaliate. But I don't believe that'll happen because this administration doesn't wish to start a war before the election. Okay, this is where it gets complicated. But I believe the Russians know this. And now, from what I've heard, and this is just in the past few days, the Russians are pressing. And I always wondered why didn't they do this? Okay, it's like when we invaded Iraq. What was it? A week? Not even that. Not even a week. 2 weeks. We took over the country the second time around. It was all done quick. Okay, then it became a war occupation. But the actual second Gulf War or second invasion of Iraq went off pretty quick. Okay, and this whole thing dragging on since 2014 is ridiculous. There's a reason it has been done, and now you're going to see all this propaganda about the Russians being slaughtered. They lost 10,000 men. They're running out of shells. They're running out of this and that. It's all a lie. Okay, they've called up enough men. They've gotten to where they have enough people mobilized. Okay, they could just sweep the country aside, the whole country. But and this incursion in the Kursk, who the hell invades a country and goes 30 kilometers and stops? What's the point of that? And again, they surmise that this is a ploy for bargaining or something whenever the peace agreement comes. So now there was that one general. They asked him, what do you think the current administration is doing? He goes, basically, I believe they're going to stall and they want this after the election, whatever. They want the election over first before they determine it, whether to do the peace thing, whatever, keep going. They don't really want the war to flare up all the way. Um, so, but that's probably why Putin is pushing it. And they said that those high-tech missile batteries that they said they were hitting the strike, they're gone. So all this expensive equipment we're giving them in the billions is useless. And it's useless without our intel and connection to our satellites and all the information. These things are useless, and now they've been destroyed. Okay. And the Russians do still have the capability to launch missiles. Okay. They said their subs are out, they're out in the Atlantic. They're looking at Britain because whoever's running the UK wants a war started, so they're over there. The Russians always could and still can hit anywhere in the United States with some sort of a missile. Okay, that threat has never gone away, and people just don't realize that shit. All right, so It's escalating there. The Russians are pushing, and it's not going to be difficult. A lot of people, it's not going to be difficult for them to come in there and force a solution. Okay, the military is ready to collapse. The internal conflict, corruption, and at the divided Ukraine, which it always has been. Politically, it's a nightmare. Okay, I know this. That's faltering, falling apart. Okay, and now I guess Germany has pulled out and wants to have nothing further to do with the Ukraine. They're not sending money. And I didn't know that for the Germans to send troops outside of its border, they must volunteer. There's some kind of law. The Germans can't draft men and send them. They must volunteer under their constitution to go for overseas combat duty or military actions outside of their own country's borders. I didn't know that. So Germany supposedly has written off everything. So now we're at a point where this is the election coming, everything's faltering, the economy, everything. This whole Ukrainian thing is collapsing. And if the Russians decide to push in there, they're going to push and make the current administration do something before the election day. This is where the danger is. How far it's going to go or what they're going to do, I don't know. Okay. The current administration, the call is they don't want a war to escalate until after the election. Not, if they are forced to do something in the next 49 days, okay, before there's an outcome, that ain't going to be good. And Putin just may put the pressure on them, start advancing, and just flatten the country. So somebody has to go to the negotiating table, okay, before the election. It looks like that's what he's going to do. And that's the reality of it. Okay, this ain't good. Now, set this aside and look at all the stuff because I was watching Redacted and they had that journal on there. This is bad enough. Putin pushes to end the war early, which he may be able to do. Now we got the Middle East. Okay, that's another. This is bad. Okay, the problem is the Israelis got hit with a rocket or something, which proves they have hypersonic technology, which the Russians have developed hypersonic missiles. Okay, and somehow the Iraqis and that are working day and night with the Russians. There's several other of these countries. One of them is either Egypt or one of them had their whole cabinet resign. The leaders of Egypt and that, which these leaders are leaning towards the U.S. and Israel, okay, the people are not. Okay, the governments are weak, they're unstable, and they said that if something does happen, they will have all of these other countries ganging up, these Arab nations, to get rid of Israel once and for all. Okay. And they did it more than once. And they come close, okay, to really overrunning them and putting an end to their country as we know it. And every time they did, I think back in the 70s, that's when we show up and said, look, we'll nuke all of you. Stop. So the U.S. must intervene if it escalates to that point, because there's no way the Israelis are going to be able to withstand the combined Arab nations attacking them all at once. They're not going to. They never have been able to. Okay, unless the U.S. and that steps in. So this is another more serious problem. The Ukraine, the Russians are going to pressure the Ukraine, just knock them right on their ass. And then we're going to have to negotiate with them. Okay, plain and simple. they're going to force our hand to do something and put an end to all of this crap. Okay, basically, that's what that'll do. The Middle East is a different story. That can flare up and get really out of control because this is where NATO's kind of fed up. Most NATO nations don't want to deal with the Ukraine, is what the consensus is. It's the exact opposite. There's a whole bunch of people really pissed off at Israel. And if they all go at once, okay, because any control we have or any influence we have on their leaders is waning, okay, uh, you're going to have issues and serious issues, frightening ones. I'm more afraid of the Middle East than worrying about the Russians. The Russians need this damn sanctions and shit over. Europe has to get back on its feet, put an end to this nonsense, and get their economy and get goods and stuff flowing without this bullshit sanction stuff. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, and I don't believe half the stuff they say about Putin. He just wants to resolve this and come on. But the thing is, if he does force it, the negotiations are not going to come out in favor of the deep state. All their goals, all their money would have been wasted. Okay, and that's the long and short of it. Middle East, that's scary because if they all go together and we lose our influence in these different governments with these puppet leaders we got in there that lean towards us, it's going to be a problem. Okay, and you got a couple nuclear powers involved. Okay, the Iranians, I believe, are setting up missiles. I do not know if they are capable of, if they're nuclear capable or not. They may not be. No one knows. Okay, this is the dangerous, scary. Well, all right, guys. I guess starting this early was kind of a mistake. I started early for everyone's wake up time. I've had 7 people at the most on this one. But the thing is, I'm going to work on getting some better audio. I'm going to work on. I can't see the chat on my computer. Okay. And I did not get a notification. All right, thanks. I asked you guys to give me this feedback. I'm trying to straighten this out because I noticed I've only had a few people. I don't know if the topic's boring to them or what. I guess you have to go back and reset the notifications out there because it's like I used to get them. Then after they changed the software or something, I get no notifications whatsoever. It's like I had some new subscribers and I get a notification that they subscribed. Okay. But it stopped. I only get 1 or 2 and I had like 100 people subscribe, but I'd never get any more notifications. So, that's not me. Why don't you do a video instead of live? Well, the live stream I kind of did as a countdown because there's a lot of strange things going on. For me during the day to keep my thoughts together, sit down, make the topic, make the point, I could. All right. It's like today's a tough day. I have several things. I got a job or 2 to finish in the garage. I have to go. I have an appointment, and then I have to go see somebody later on today. So today's kind of shot. I got one of my videos up, but maybe we'll go with that route. If that's what you guys want. I mean, that's why I ask you to give me your feedback. I'll do whatever fits the bill. Okay, the live thing, the live broadcasts, I can go, I can read some news, which I did this morning, and looked at some opinions, and then I make a live broadcast. So the thoughts in that are fresh in my head. But you should now. The Gun Geek said you can't see the comments. It takes a bit of time for that panel to come up. And in the first part of this, I said when I go to look at these lives and look at the comments, it takes 24, 48 hours for those show up. If you go like, say I cut this off and you go 2 hours later, okay, it it ain't there. I can't find it. But yesterday's when I got on this morning, I screwed around and all of a sudden it popped up in all the comments when you move the slider over all the comments. Sundays are better. I enjoy it. Okay, because other than Alan Springer, there was nothing. I was on for 30 minutes and there was I like tacos, and that was the only comment I got during this whole broadcast. Okay. And you guys just popped up here in the past 2 or 3 minutes, and all of these comments Mauser Waffen, Alan Singer, Peter Collingwood, and that this all just happened in the last 2, 3 minutes. Okay. And yeah, it is too early. Like I said, I got a busy day. I have to never get a notification. Um, that I don't know. A lot of people tell me they don't get notified. Okay, and that's a problem. Like I said, I don't get any notifications. Um, I get notifications when you leave a comment, and that comes to an email box. Okay, but I used to get every time somebody subscribed, I used to get a notification. Hey, so and so subscribed to your channel. All right, and I've gotten in the past 1,000 subscriptions, I may have gotten 2 or 3 of them. So that's something to do with the YouTube software and why these comments don't show up for a day or so. Gun Geek, when I was doing a test, Gun Geek was trying to tell me that there's some sort of delay or something to where they come up. I'm always going to hang around with drink beer with raccoons. Probably too early. Yeah, I know. I knew this wouldn't be good because it was early. Time zones and stuff. It would have been earlier. I have no. I just like I said, I got to end this here. What about? Yeah, it's a YouTube problem. Notifications are spotty. Yeah, I just did this early because when I did the other one yesterday, it was a little bit later. I did some things in the morning, and then it ends up going over an hour. The chats, especially when I get people giving feedback and we start a discussion. And then next thing I know, I'm starting my day late at 10, 11. And I got a lot to do today. But I wanted to get this out because this war thing, uh, and that's another thing. When you ask, why don't I make just a video about it? I could, but I don't know. It used to be if you said anything negative about the war in the Ukraine, they would shut your channel down. For some odd reason, they're not doing that. And I'm surprised they get away with putting all the wacky stuff like about the eating the cats and dogs. And I'm surprised they allow them to do that. So it's very hit or miss. If you say the wrong damn thing, and God only knows because the restrictions are so vague, it said like modifying a gun. I did that video where I showed people how I run that barrel home down there and polished out that barrel. I thought I would get burnt for modification of a gun, and they might even just suspend my channel for 2 weeks. See, that's another thing. If I stop broadcast and check Rumble. I'll put it on Rumble. I've got a lot of people coming to Rumble now. My Rumble views are up, and there's people looking enough to where I get 100 views, 50 to 100 views. So I have a following there. So if I do get suspended again, I'll put something there, and hopefully somebody will go somewhere if they don't have a channel, or put a comment in these videos. Other channels kind of associated with me that I got suspended, because the only way I did it last time is I had to email the Gun Geek, and I asked the Gun Geek, would you please go online and tell people I got suspended? Or he took me, no, he had a live chat. I emailed him and he said, I'll have a chat, see if you can get in. And we went through the StreamYard, and he allowed me on his chat, and I explained it. That's what it was. The guy, he's a fantastic guy. He's been a friend for years. And in a pinch, him or even Log Cabin Loons with another guy that, we got screwed over or something. Those fellows would help me out anytime I asked. I've been associated with them for many years on YouTube. But it's sad that it has to go like this. I know this was early. Uh, Nobody got notifications. I'm trying to figure out a lot of people, and I seen that test I did yesterday with StreamYard, and the audio is horrible. I have to either get a headset with a speaker or microphone and something. Because my wife did that when she had to work from home. She always had Zoom meetings and stuff, so I gotta see. I think she sent that headset back, but that's anything that'll work. I believe is over 100, because there's a ton of these things that are there dirt cheap out online. But when I read the feedback, even though it's somewhat small, they say that the one thing, the mic, doesn't work quite well. You get weird sounds and stuff. So that's the whole reason. Or I have to get just a separate, get fancy here, like a pro, get a mic and wear it when I talk. All right, the Gun Geek's there. There he is. My buddy's here to save the day. Uh, yeah. Now everybody's here. It's 9. I have to get going. I have things I got to do. I got some work out in the garage I got to do on the milling machine. I have several things I have to do. I see that the 8:30 or something is way too early. I know the Gun Geek and them fellas are an hour behind us. Yeah, because when you guys were there when I tested StreamYard, it was horrible. Okay, and they kind of changed. Yeah, it's 9 here. They kind of changed the whole format. Okay, I think it used to be can have 4 people. I guess now even on the freebie, I think I can have 10 or something. But if you pay them, you can have a webinar, whatever the hell that is. Okay, but I think that's where you got to choke up some money every month. Uh, Webinar. See, then we can see your smiling faces when you go and want to put your comments in with a webinar. That sounds interesting. But yeah, I'm going to look into getting a mic. I'm going to look into doing this. And now I know that, I can't have these any earlier than 9 o'clock, because now because I was sitting here, I said what I had to say, and there was no real response, and there was no real audience over than 3 or 4 people until 9 o'clock. Okay, but if you go back and watch it, I explain the Ukraine and what I understand, and it is kind of important, and it is tied in to this assassination attempt. This guy was recruiting people. He said he went over there, and they told him he didn't have any military experience. They wouldn't let him in. to the Foreign Brigade. So he tried getting Americans, and when that didn't work, he tried getting Al Qaeda to that are unemployed now to join the fight and get the Russians. So it's weird, but it's all tied together. And I think Putin, well, I just did this out of my own convenience. Uh, so it didn't quite work well, but like I said, now it's after 9. I do have to get my ass moving. I got a lot to do today. That's why I started the live earlier. But now I will know, gentlemen. I'll work on getting a better microphone. Uh, because I wasn't, when I did the playbacks, I wasn't, I understand why everybody complains. As far as the notifications, that's a YouTube thing. Okay. Because after a certain point, I don't know how many subscribers I got. Or how many channels I'm subscribed to. I should be getting notifications. So I don't know if you have to like go watch somebody's video, then click on get notifications again and again to keep them current. Supposedly you're supposed to click on it once and that should do it, but I don't know. Okay, so I'll see. But no, all right, guys. I'll have another one tomorrow, and I will do it. Say since nobody showed up till 9:30. I'll have another one. Be day 48, and we'll see what new fun crap has popped up once again. All right, but thank you all for Sorry I started a little early, but I like to thank everybody. Cheap Mike said, "Oh, there he is. Balloon's here." Cheap lapel. Well, they got them on Amazon for anywhere from 16 to $50. Okay, and it's a headset with a mic. My wife got one when she was working from home for a whole year, and because going to Zoom meetings and that, and I remember that thing cost over $100. She didn't quite like it, and she sent the damn thing back. Said she didn't need it. Her setup with her laptop and the mic and everything worked well enough for what else she needed. But yeah, because I was watching the playbacks, I didn't really like the quality of it. The way my voice sounds is permanent. I live in the allergy capital of the world here in North Carolina. My sinuses are never clear. They are maybe for an hour, but I will look into that. I have to see. I might order one, just a headset, and we'll try it because they got Bluetooth, they got USB, and whatever. I got to figure out what'll work because the distance of the mic is far away, and on the StreamYard, of course, StreamYard, you can go in there and adjust the damn thing. It didn't come out well. But like I said, guys, I do have to get off and get some things done here. But I'll do it tomorrow. I'll try to do it after 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because in that way, I'll probably get more feedback and more people involved. All right, but as usual, gentlemen, thank you for stopping by. Thanks for your input. Uh, and I'll keep going on. All right, thanks.